It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Supertalk 99.7 WTN. Thank you for being around with us. Whatever time you're able to give us, we're certainly appreciative of it. 615-737-9986 is our telephone number, 615-737-9986. You can jump on board if you so desire. Several of you are choosing to do so, and I'm going to get out of the way and allow you to speak. Spent the majority of hour number one discussing the tragedy of the death of Irina Zarutska, the 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee who died on a Charlotte, North Carolina subway car. The liberals would prefer we not talk about this. And frankly, when they discuss it, they're discussing it in terms of how racist we are for bringing it up at all. Just listen to the potato. By the way, Jackson, you're new enough. I don't know if you know who the potato is. Do you know who the potato is?
Don't know who a potato is.
That would be Brian Stelter of hashtag Never CNN. Do you know why I say hashtag Never CNN every time I say CNN?
Because you watch it so others don't have to.
That's exactly right. CNN is a garbage network full of garbage people spewing garbage. Do not support it by watching it in any form or fashion. I watch this garbage so you don't have to. I consider it to be a burden, an occupational hazard, one that I take on my back and bear on a daily basis. And I watch this garbage so I can point out this nonsense to you. Now, some would suggest, why are you making us listen to this crap, Murphy? Because it's important that we hear some of this stuff. Like the potato had to say, he's calling all of you racist for caring about a young woman dying.
Really, over the weekend, Elon Musk, Charlie Kirk, other Trump-aligned figures succeeded in making this senseless death a symbol of big city crime. We heard President Trump asked about it yesterday when he was heading home from New York City. He didn't seem to know much about it. He said he would get briefed, and then today, Trump did know all about it. That's exactly what has happened here. This story has trickled up from local news to social media and now to the president.
So before he gets to the money quote, is this not a symbol of big city crime? So the same media networks, let's make sure that we understand the hypocrisy that he demonstrates with that comment. He was a part of this lie of hands up, don't shoot. CNN was largely responsible for Ferguson, Missouri burning to the ground because they furthered a narrative that turned out to be absolutely not true. They did the whole hands up, don't shoot garbage where the people, Michael Brown, the supporters of Michael Brown claimed that Michael Brown threw his hands up in the air when Officer Wilson approached him after he robbed a convenience store. It was a strong-arm robbery. Y'all remember that? I remember it. I'm elephantine. I don't forget these things. Michael Brown attempted to bum rush Officer Wilson, tried to get his gun away from him. Officer Wilson had to kill Michael Brown in self-defense, and CNN ran with a garbage narrative that he had his hands up, don't shoot. And it was all a lie. I remember seeing those anchors sitting on the anchor desk, and they all had their hands up in solidarity. One of them, at one point, one of them had a note that said, "I can't breathe," because there was another story in New York about the guy that was selling Lucy cigarettes and that he wouldn't stop selling Lucy cigarettes, and they tried to arrest him, and he resisted arrest, and they got him on the ground. He's a big fella. They got him on the ground. I forget that one's that gentleman's or that man's name. So the same media networks that used Michael Brown as a symbol of police racism, and then they used Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman as a symbol, despite the fact that George Zimmerman was not a white man, as a symbol of how young black youth, they would be treated in the United States of America. And then they used George Floyd as yet another symbol of, quote-unquote, police racism in the United States of America. And they elevated these stories beyond their local nature. And I'm not saying that these stories didn't merit discussion. They were tragedies in and of themselves, but tragedies of George Floyd's making, tragedy of Michael Brown's making, not a tragedy of the police department's making. George Floyd was the guy that was trying to pass off counterfeit $20 bills. George Floyd was the guy that was on drugs. That does not absolve Derek Chauvin of any and all culpability and all of that because he kept his knee on his neck too long. The point is, they created the narrative that this was a national story. And now they're faulting us for paying attention. Brian Stelter has the audacity to fault us for caring about this woman's life. I thought we were supposed to care about Ukrainian refugees.
We heard President Trump asked about it yesterday when he was heading home from New York City. He didn't seem to know much about it. He said he would get briefed. And then today, Trump did know all about it. That's exactly what has happened here. This story has trickled up from local news to social media and now to the president's attention. And it's being used, as you said, Brianna, as a political symbol, with MAGA media calling for more forceful punishments and more incarceration. I have to say.
Wait. What MAGA media, if that's what you want to call it, would call for. The guy was arrested 14 times. He was let out of jail last January with no bail. Cashless release. We're asking for punishment that would fit the. I mean, what are you suggesting, that somehow we're asking for law and order and a punishment that befits a crime? His own mother said that he needed mental help.
Forceful punishments and more incarceration. I have to say, some of the replies to Musk, some of the comments around this story are baldly racist, stoking fear of African Americans because this man attacked a white woman. The open racism on sites like X today, it's eye-popping, but there are also legitimate.
Is the attack not eye-popping? So, according to Brian Stelter, the real story here are some of the racist comments on social media platforms. The real story is not the fact that this man decided to pull out a pocket knife and stab a woman 5 times and nobody did anything to help her. And he should not have been out of jail to begin with. Notice in that description, I didn't mention the man's color, did I? Nor hers. Goes beyond that. Let's talk to James next up. James, thank you for your call. How are you?
Doing good, sir. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for calling.
Thank you for speaking so boldly and truthfully. To touch on what you were last talking about, I think that we've become a culture of cowardice, unfortunately, in many ways. And I think you can stem it to the fake, corrupt news media just constantly telling us through the television, through their radio, through their media apps, telling us white people bad, everything is our fault. And unfortunately, a large percentage of us have started to believe it.
Yeah, I feel like we're moving in the right direction in terms of that narrative, because I'm not going to bend the knee to this white guilt narrative that is pervasive in some circles in the mainstream media. I don't disagree with your analysis. I think you're right. Sadly, yeah, I mean. But at this point, how in the world are the past sins of the United States of America responsible for the criminal behavior in inner city communities like Milwaukee or Baltimore? I mean, you cannot connect those dots for me well enough to make me understand it.
Oh, I agree with you. And this is the greatest nation in the world. We have overcome all of that. There's not another nation in the world that provides sanctuary for everything from people, no matter your gender, no matter your sexuality, no matter your faith, no matter your opinions, even illegal aliens get sanctuary here. This is the most welcoming, most generous, greatest nation in the history of humanity. And I'm not going to back down from that either.
I agree with you. And we remain the bastion of individual freedom and liberty despite some of our past issues, and I don't back down from that either. And I refuse to accept any level of groupthink. Just as I do not believe that that the propensity for violence within the inner city and us looking at the data dictates that I don't believe that black people are more prone to violence. I believe that, sadly, there are a lot of young African-American males that culturally have fallen into this recycling of violence. But I don't believe that you are prone to that based on the color of your skin. It's a cultural circumstance that you find yourself in, and we need to address that, identify it, and figure out what's going on and why. So, but just as I do not believe that white people think alike, I don't believe that black people think alike, I don't believe that brown people think alike. I think as individuals, we all chart our own course, and we have an ability to overcome whatever obstacles we might find in our way if we understand that as individuals we can do that. Sadly, there are a lot of people that use their color as an excuse, or they use their color to feel guilt-ridden for one reason or another because of America's past? I mean, and all of those things that's just a lot of excuse making to me, James.
Oh, it is. And it reminds me, I think it was Thomas Sowell that said, color shouldn't be used to help or hurt anyone. And I know this for a fact. If we don't talk about it, we're not going to get anywhere. And we need to start talking amongst each other, just being civil, sitting down and having conversations and debates and talking about all this. We can't blame the past on the people today. We just can't. We won't make any future progress if we do that. I don't understand it. Part of me thinks this is all the devil's doing, the devil's work, because everything's upside down, and I don't know why we've taken it so long, but the time has come. We shouldn't take it anymore.
Well, I mean, it's a great call, and it's a great point that you make. I mean, yeah, we need to stand up for our individual liberties. We need to stand up for ourselves, and we need to stand up for the American values that we believe in. That's not to ignore some of the sins of America's past. I mean, those are obvious. At the same time, you can either get busy moving forward or get busy making excuses, no matter the color of your skin, no matter your socioeconomic circumstance. None of that should matter in 2025. 615-737-9986 if you'd like to be a part of the show. Forrest has called in. I got Donald Trump weighing in on this in just a moment. Hey, Forrest.
Hey, man. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. One of my biggest beefs is when people say the mainstream media is not calling out somebody or this or that. They always brings up names of CNN, MSNBC. They never bring up the major networks. They never talk about David Muir or George Stephanopoulos, Gayle King. They never. Here's my point. My mom, 85, she watches Jeopardy every afternoon at 5, just like millions of Americans. And then when it goes off, they watch ABC, NBC, CBS. But those stations never talk about what we're talking about. So my mom doesn't know anything about the real news in America. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
And she don't watch MSNBC, but all I hear is the people on Fox, your station, whatever. Y'all don't call out the main anchors of ABC, NBC, CBS. Call them out by name. They're the ones that are reaching the older age people. If you can get my drift, I know I'm doing a good job of explaining.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine, Forrest. I mean, I try to when I discuss hashtag Never CNN. I always talk about the alphabet soup networks. That would be ABC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, CNBC.
I know, but when you call out somebody, or not saying you specifically, but you're calling out an anchor like Brian Stelter or somebody. My mama don't know who he is. She knows who David Muir is, and she thinks the world of him because he's pretty. Like that. And he does
You need to get her on board with the Murphy train, I mean, come on.
She don't do the internet. She don't do the internet. But they believe everything they see on the ABC and CBS, NBC. Those are the people that need to be called out. And it just infuriates me that George Stephanopoulos can get on in the mornings. They watch the morning news. And as soon as he goes off at 7 o'clock, here comes the main news. And everything he says is Trump falsely said this. Falsely. Every morning it's falsely said that.
Well, it drives me it drives me insane.
She believed him, and it just infuriates me. But anyway, I just wish more people.
What do you say to? I mean, let me ask you this, Forrest. What do you say to Mama? I mean, when do y'all talk about it at all? Do you encourage her to?
We do. Sure, we do. And she just says, looks at me and says, "Well," and changes the subject. That's her response. Well, and I'm not going to sit there and have a mean conversation with my 85-year-old mother, but she just kind of changes subjects and don't want to talk about it. But it's just I wish more of the people in your position and Fox News and everybody would call out the main anchors, not Brian Stelter and not Scarborough, because they don't watch them. They watch CBS, NBC, ABC, because that's what comes on TV after the Golden Girls.
Well, I mean, I get that, but I don't know that we're still doing the Golden Girls, but Jeopardy and the Wheel of Fortune and all of that. Well, here's what I would say for. I mean, it's duly noted. I mean, obviously, we need to do our best to make sure that we remind folks that they on those networks and those anchors on those networks. They present the news through a particular lens as well. And so it's duly noted. I would say this, that the numbers of individuals watching nightly news declines precipitously under the age of 60. I mean, it gets pretty thin. By the time you're in your 40s and your 30s, I mean, it gets really, really thin. So
I understand that. I believe that. But anyway, that's all I got to say.
Well, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you called for us. Thank you for doing it. And tell Mama I said hello, would you?
She'll say, well.
Just tell her I was talking to Matt Murphy on the radio today, and he wanted me to tell.
She'll say, who? Is that somebody you grew up with? She won't know who I'm talking about.
Well, that's fine. She doesn't need to know. Just tell her Matt Murphy said hey. All right?
All right. Thanks.
All right, man. I'll see you. 615-737-9986, 24 after the hour. Why am I getting that look? I was just trying to make a new fan out of Mama Forrest. Mom always said life is like a box of chocolates. Never know what you're going to get. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 4:38. The President of the United States has spoken on this matter. We're going to get back to your calls momentarily, but I want to hear what the President had to say about this earlier today from the White House. This is the leadership that I voted for. Here's the President.
For far too long, Americans have been forced to put up with Democrat-run cities that set loose savage, bloodthirsty criminals to prey on innocent people. Really very, very innocent people. In every place, they control radical left judges, politicians, and activists, and they've adopted a policy of catch and release for thugs and killers. In Charlotte, North Carolina, we saw the results of these policies when a 23-year-old woman who came here from Ukraine met her bloody end on a public train. And here's a picture of it. This is the picture of it. And this is a picture of the woman, a beautiful young girl that never had problems in life, with a magnificent future in this country. And now she's dead. She was slaughtered by a deranged monster who was roaming free after 14 prior arrests. We cannot allow a depraved criminal element of violent repeat offenders to continue spreading destruction and death throughout our country. We have to respond with force and strength. We have to be vicious just like they are. It's the only thing they understand. 24 of the top 25 most dangerous cities in America are run by Democrat mayors. 50 people were murdered in Chicago in recent weeks, with hundreds being shot. And it's time to stop this madness. The people of our country need to insist on protection, safety, law, and order. We have proven that it can be done because we did it right here in D.C., in District of Columbia. The capital of America was a bloodthirsty, horrible, dangerous place, one of the worst. And now it's a crime-free city, and we're going to keep it that way. It can be done. It can happen fast. All we want is, please, Mr. President, we need help. Chicago needs help. Other cities needs help. We'll do what has to be done because we're going to make America safe again, and that includes our big cities. We're going to make those cities safe. Thank you.
The president, all he wants, I mean, he understands that he's limited in the amount that he can do. He can send in Immigration and Customs Enforcement to do a particular enforcement role when it comes to immigration law. He can only do so much in the states because the 10th Amendment prevents him from taking over where government won't do locally what needs to be done. From a constitutional perspective, his hands are tied to a certain degree, and rightly so. We asked for this system of government, and we need this system of government. There are reasons why the federal government is not allowed to take over the states. The states and the people, respectively, have rights too. It was the states that created the Constitution of the United States, and they allowed for supremacy in certain areas and disallowed supremacy in others. That's the whole point. But the president is begging, literally begging, the mayor of Chicago, the mayor of Baltimore, the mayor of Memphis, and even the governors of said states, including Governor Bill Lee, to do something about this, to help him do something about this. The governor of North Carolina, the mayor of Charlotte, Birmingham, Atlanta, Nashville, Tennessee. Why wouldn't we want to stop the crime that's rampant on our streets? And for those of you that have, like Mama Forrest, have watched too much CBS News or ABC News or David Muir, and you say, well, they say the crime's down. I don't think Mama Forrest sounds like that, by the way, but they say the crime's down. Freddie O'Connell said crime's down 12% this year. Well, should we not aspire for crime to be zero? If we have the ability to take that to zero, should we not take it to zero while protecting the rights of the citizens, the law-abiding citizens? Of course we should. All right, who's been there the longest? Tell me, Jackson, is it line one, Barry? Mr. Barry, thank you for your call. How are you?
Hey, Matt. How are you, sir?
I'm great.
Hey, Matt. Hey, I'm a United States Marine, and I say I'm still a Marine. It's been a long time since I served, but you had made a statement about why nobody reacted when the young lady was getting stabbed on the light rail train, and I understand it's fear, it's a lot of things, but the biggest problem is just humanity as a whole. Everyone sitting on that train, if that would have been their daughter or their sister, or you understand what I'm saying, they would have reacted. My wife, I tell my wife, I said, look, don't put yourself in a bad situation, but help who you can. Even if that means that you get hurt or you get killed. Matt, does that make sense? It's a humanity thing. There's times we gotta put fear aside.
And I understand that it is not in the DNA or the makeup of some people to put themselves in harm's way. That they have a fear of, and they have this dynamic of self-preservation that kicks in. I understand that fear, and I get it. There's also what's the term I'm looking for when there's a group of people, it's somebody on the super text line will help me with this term, where the more people don't do anything, the more prone people are to not doing anything. So if there's a group of people that witness an event that...
Well, we've gotten so desensitized. I don't mean to cut you off, Matt. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I'm driving. I'm in southern Arkansas. traveling, but and I travel to these places. I travel to Charlotte a lot. I travel to Memphis. You know, I see everything that we're talking about, but I don't know. Maybe because of my training, because man, I've seen and done things that I hope nobody else ever has to. But self-preservation only goes so far when it comes to our fellow man. Does that make sense, man?
It does. It does. And I think the term that I was looking for was bystander syndrome.
Yes.
Where groups of people, if you're in a group of people with 10 people looking at an event, and Barry, I know that what you're saying. I mean, I'm not. I can imagine. I can only imagine that you've seen things that you don't want others to see, and I don't want the nation to become so dystopian that we have to take the law in our own hands. I don't want us to have to Charlie Bronson this thing and resort to some level of vigilante justice. At the same time, I would hope that if we're in a situation where I'm standing and I'm observing wrongdoing happening in front of me, that I'm going to step up and not be a bystander, not be an observer, not be passive in that situation, but be active in that situation. Now, obviously, that's a judgment call, circumstance to circumstance, but my goodness gracious. We should strive to be more like Daniel Penny. Shouldn't we? Shouldn't we? Bystander syndrome is this concept where if there's a group of 10 people standing around and an altercation occurs where, somebody starts beating the hell out of, that if nobody does anything, that the group is more prone for nobody to do anything. And that once one person breaks out of that bystander mentality and does something, others will follow. But nobody wants to be the first to do it. Lloyd is next. Lloyd, thank you for the call. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. First-time caller.
Glad you're here.
You changed my subject as you all were talking. I just want to say I had an idea like 10, 12 years ago. We need to get our military into the center of America and then push all the bad out to the coastline and then take care of it. But I like the taking care of each city. I don't know why they don't even want to have us come in and help them. But with that being said, that bystanding syndrome you said, I think more of that is happening now because everyone's got their cell phone out.
Yeah, you're right. Everyone, sadly, if people aren't absorbed in whatever they're watching on their cell phones with their earbuds in and completely oblivious to the things going on around them, they, instead of actually engaging in a given circumstance, all they want to do is video it.
One other thing, it happened to me in 1980. I'll even give you it was Virginia Beach. I played the beach from back then. But in any case, I'm walking back to my apartment, and I noticed two couples on the side of the road, and standing there. And there's one other dude, and I'm a distance away, and the one couple were arguing, and she's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. She slaps him, and he's like, rah, 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 and he starts hitting her like a man. Now I couldn't get there quick enough, but when I did, I yelled at him, "Stop! This is between you and me now." And this young lady of the other couple, she said, "Oh, it's okay. That's his girlfriend." And I said, "It's not."
No,
okay.
That's not okay.
I don't care if it's his mother. This ain't happening. And then finally, the other guy, he spoke up and said, "I agree with this man," meaning myself. But I didn't know what I was getting involved with. But I didn't like him hitting that woman like a man, And the other one thing that just popped up, I used to go out dancing a lot. I loved to dance. And my buddy and I were at this club. We walked in. Nobody's dancing. I asked these girls. Nobody wanted to dance. So I went upon myself to dance on that dance floor by myself.
Yeah.
And I did it. My buddy couldn't believe it. I didn't tell him I was doing it. And then all of a sudden, this girl walks up to me and says, "Can my friend, she wants to dance with you." I said, "Introduce us." So we got the dancing. We filled the dance floor. Everybody got it.
That's what it's all. Yeah. See, that's what we're talking about. Bystander syndrome, right? Nobody wants to be the first.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to. I just had. But I'm so happy that we're cleaning the cities up, and I wish our cities would finally, instead of having the hatred and everything, which is a prejudice move, why are you being like that when you preach not to? Teach our children that, hey, yes, we can make a mistake and we can fix it.
Boyd, great call. Thank you for making it. I appreciate you, and I'm glad you got on that dance floor. That's what it's all about. It's 51 after the hour. More calls coming up on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy in the Matt Murphy Radio Show. We've got some politics to discuss right here in the great state of Tennessee. I touched on this story late in the show yesterday, but I want to tell you my thoughts on Monty Fritz, who I'm working on getting Monty. Representative Monty Fritz will be in Nashville next week sometime, I believe it is, and we're working on trying to get him on the show either the 16th or the 17th. Looking forward to that. He has announced, he did this on the Chris Hand Show last week. He announced his run for governor for the state of Tennessee. He joins Representative John Rose, Congressional Representative John Rose, and Senator Marsha Blackburn in that race on the Republican ledger, on the Republican side of things. And we'll talk to Monty next week, but I might give you my first take, if you will, on what his presence in that race means coming up in just a moment. We'll also continue to take your telephone calls. Plus, I'm going to give you an unpopular hot take about Cracker Barrel. I don't think it has anything to do with the restaurant remodels at all. At all. And I think Cracker Barrel might be overreacting to the reaction to their decision to change the logo. I think it was all about the logo. I don't think it had, I think you could have changed every restaurant at every Cracker Barrel in America, and no one would have said anything if you left the logo alone. That's coming up in just a moment as well on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Plus, of course, as promised, your telephone calls. Many of you on the line want to talk about the media with regard to their reaction to this horrific stabbing death in Charlotte, North Carolina, the president's reaction to it, why the reaction is different based on the color of one's skin. Justice should be colorblind, obviously should be blind, generally speaking. We'll continue that discussion as well on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.